Hello everybody, this is Rhymes45. Today I bring you a new race, a new track, another track. Today we're going to be racing on Monza. That's in Italy, for those of you who don't know. But let's get to this race. And now you must be wondering why I'm going by myself here. Because I skipped the part where everybody left me behind because I had technical issues where my controller was not functioning, so I skipped it to where I start and then doing a catch up with these guys, with the rest of the racers. Now we get to the first chicane, the first really hard chicane here. Already, like, we caught up with the last few cars here, and already we've passed a couple of cars. We were dead last in the beginning. We were 25th or 25th. Now behind me are 3 cars, I mean 4, and here there's a bit of a contact as we get to the second chicane on Monza. This is going to be a very big battle between me and the rest of the cars here. The cars behind the crowd here, usually I stand like in the middle of everybody else, which is like if it's 25th, I would be in 12th place, which was my position initially after I qualified. Unfortunately for me, the car hasn't been responding to me in the beginning, so they left me behind. So as we get to the last chicane on Monza, there's a contact here, and I overtake already 6 cars, and the 7th here, if it was gonna happen, which it didn't. So another car spins off there. If you look behind in the mirror, there was an accident there as well. And now one BMW behind me, and then another BMW in front of me, and then a NSX, Honda NSX. And pay attention to the BMW in front of the NSX, because later on we're gonna catch up. Ooh, over here the NSX runs into me. Now this BMW, I feel like my pace is matching his, because me and him, we're driving the same speed and the same distance. And as I'm trying to approach the BMW, I realized this is going to be a very good competition between me and the BMW in front of me, which is number 35. And this is a very good race. Like, I'm trying to get like in a slipstream behind, so that he doesn't go like widen the gap, and me like catching up with him, which is what I'm doing. The strategy here would be just stay behind him until he makes a mistake, and I would overtake him when the time is right. We're here at the last straight road here on Monza. As you can see here, like our speed is not that much difference between me and him. We're almost the same distance. And Porsche normally is like very fast at the last bend, that long turn at Monza. Usually the way I exit that turn is a very fast accelerating car, which I tried to approach, but it didn't actually. As a matter of fact, the BMW was faster than me at that point. And now still I'm playing catch up with the BMW. And on the second lap of the second chicane, you see two cars already fighting over there. And we overtake, we get the position, the 15th position in the race. And that makes the BMW on the 14th. And we're still pacing the same on the same line. The BMW like taking off a little bit, like making that gap bigger, and me trying to approach him. So 1.4 seconds between me and the BMW. And the last chicane, the deadliest chicane I would call it, because usually it's a very, if you have a sensitive setup, like where their car is twitchy, then that's the turn that you would spin out. And the last long turn of Monza before the finish line, as we go into the third lap, you notice the BMW is the same distance from me. And now he has made the gap 1.3 seconds, 1.7, 1.8. And for some reason he went straight ahead, cutting corners, whereas I did this legitimately, and still I caught up with him, because he has to drive slowly. If you're gonna cut corners there with full speed, then you'd be disqualified. So he had to drive very slow. He would get a time penalty, but wouldn't get disqualified. Ooh, over there's a contact, there's accidents over there, all sorts of things. And back to racing the BMW. Over here the BMW makes a bit of a mistake, and as a result I overtake him. This is what I was planning from the beginning, where like keep behind him in the slipstream and then overtake him when he makes a mistake, which is what I did there. And now he's right at my tail trying to overtake me again. Same strategy that I done on him, he would want to do it on me. Just keeping behind me, tried the slipstream to pull him towards me, and then finally like overtake me. Let's see if it's working for him, which so far it's been doing for him. And then BMWs, as you know, are faster on a straight line than Porsches. Over here is where I have like the advantage. As I turn and then as I exit this turn, this is where I would have the fastest acceleration, but in this case it didn't work for me. The BMW had the faster speed. He's ahead of me now, and me, I tucked behind him to get into the slipstream again, so that I would do the same strategy back on him. Now the first chicane of Monza, and now I overtake him on the first. I was a bit aggressive on that turn, and he's behind me trying to take over again. This is such a nice battle. I enjoyed it very much. And now on the second chicane of Monza, he pumped his brakes a little bit so to avoid a accident with me, which is a smart thing to do. I know a few drivers there who wouldn't do that, and then finally they would end up in a big accident. Now the BMW and me, the battle continues, and not far ahead you see a McLaren, and that McLaren is not in our race, because he's either we're overlapping him, or over there, look at the BMW. He made a mistake. He was so eager to pass me, so he made a mistake, as you can see behind me there. He just made a mistake which gave me the advantage to pass him and then widen the gap even more. And now I feel at this point very successful for trying that strategy, and for making him want to drive hard to a point where he went into that turn with spinning, which makes me feel like an evil genius. So now on the 5th lap of Monza, there's a McLaren behind me. That one is not in our race. He's been overlapped, or a new driver who has joined the race, warming up probably for the next race. But if you've noticed, me and the BMW have a bigger gap, and I doubt that he's gonna catch up with me anymore, especially when the McLaren is between us, because if a car is slower in front of you, that's gonna make you slower. As long as you overtake them, they're just gonna keep you behind, which the McLaren is doing for me. It feels like we're doing it as a team, but it's definitely not. Every man is for themselves in this kind of race. No teamwork. If there was a teamwork, it would be nice, but unfortunately, racing is individual. So now, as we make this turn, we'll see like dust coming up, and then one car spinning out, and the other one obviously looking damaged. And then I overtake him. There's a McLaren. The last chicane of Monza. This one is a very tricky turn, which I had made without any problem, because with something about the Porsche is it has a very good grip. It rarely spins out, but for that, like, it sacrifices top speed. With like cars with top speed tend to have a very twitchy handling, which makes them like spin off very easily. Now into 6th lap, the wide has gappened between me and the cars behind, and now there's a McLaren coming out of the pits joining the race. And you might realize this McLaren is not an ordinary driver. I feel like he's a professional driver, because the way he was coming behind me was he's approaching me, he's catching up with me effortlessly. He feels very fast, even though I'm in front of him. He's catching up with me very easily, and luckily he's not on the same race as me. He's just coming on the track, so that puts me at ease. But as you can see, he's right on my tail, catching up with me. He could take over if he wanted to, but I feel like he's keeping the position behind me on purpose. And now he's just keeping up with me the whole time. I'm not panicking at this point. I'm just driving calmly, just looking at him at the back mirror. And then he's just behind me, like in the slipstream for no reason, but just to show me how much he can approach me and how much he's faster than me, just to show off. And I commend that about him. And then the fact that he's not trying to ruin my pace is a very good sportsmanship. And here on the straight, the pace is on. First chicane, did it beautifully. McLaren behind me the whole time. And not far off, there's another McLaren in front of me, which is not on the same race as me as well. He's being either overlapped or joined the race later on as well. So the second chicane, we did it beautifully there. nice driving with everybody after this. Like, all the bad drivers have been left behind, eliminated if you will. All the dust build up. Now the quality drivers are left. As you see, the first driver, the lead driver, is already past the finish line, which is a very big gap between me and him. And me catching up with him is less likely, almost impossible to catch up with him, mainly because I started dead last. So me achieving all these positions is a big deal. Now, on the 9th position out of 23 cars, I feel so confident over here. All the turns are smooth and nice. The car's handling very well. Tire pressure on point. The weather is so nice, like at this point. No sliding. Grip is in effect very strong grip. All the turns are sharp and without error. And now there's a Lamborghini in front of me, which is 2.9 seconds in front of me. Can we catch up with him to get the 8th position? We're on the 10th lap here. We've jumped a few laps because there hasn't been that many action happening, so not to waste your time and to make this video on point, I tend to skip a few laps sometimes. So there, now we're approaching the Lamborghini in front of me. The gap has shrunk from 2.9 to 2.4. Can we catch him? As you can see, the McLaren is right behind me. He's just warming up. I don't know, maybe for the next race he's trying to warm up. I don't see the whole point why he's racing, maybe for pleasure. But I know for a fact that the guy is very fast and he can catch up with me, like, if he wanted to, and overtake. But he's being a gentleman. And now the first turn again on the lap 11th. As you see on the map, the leader is already on the last chicane of the track, which is way in front of me, a big gap. And over here, a little bit of sand on the left side of the car, which is okay. But the driving is on point, everyone. So the McLaren is battling another McLaren. I mean, the Lamborghini is battling another McLaren in front of me, which is not in the race. For some reason, the McLaren was in front of me. Now it's the Lamborghini. Maybe the McLaren probably overtook the Lamborghini, and now they're having their own battle, the same as I would have with the McLaren behind me if he was on the same race as me. And for some reason, this car, there's a McLaren that's just cruising on the track. And as we come up on the last turn of Monza and the last lap of the race, we get the 8th position. And now, well done. I hope you enjoyed this race. Thanks for watching.